and welcome to the Climbing Daily Friday Gear Show. We're here in Oulu, somewhere high up in Finland. Can you introduce yourself to everyone watching, who you are and what you're doing here?
So, I'm Marianne Van Der Steen, I'm from the Netherlands and I'm competing here at the European Cup as well. I love equipment and I think that's why I got into ice climbing in the first place, and I think that's why we're standing here for, right?
Exactly. So what we're going to do is look at, because like I've ice climbed, I've alpine climbed, but the kit that you use for this competition is different from what I've seen before. So can you go through ice axes, crampons, boots and tell me how they differ from normal stuff?
Of course I can. So these are my babies. I sleep with them. No, actually I don't.
A little bit terrifying.
They're more technical compared to the average ice axe. As you maybe know, there are two types of ice axes, the B-rated one and the T-rated one. This is a T-rated ice axe, which stands for technical. The technical ice axes are often curved, they have a handle, and they have more technical, like serious criteria to actually withstand the forces they need within dry tooling. B-rated ice axes would be more straight. Most of the times they have something like a handle, but definitely not as curved as the T-rated ice axes.
Okay, so the T prevents it if you're torquing it in or really cranking on that, the pick doesn't snap if it's T-rated.
Yeah, or bent or anything.
Okay, something drastic. Just want to explain before we started, we are in the athletes' warm-up area, so if it's a little bit noisy, that's why. Okay, so that's your ice axe, which is the standards at Cat in Extreme, isn't it? But you've modified it a bit, so you've taken off the spikes on the handle?
Yeah, so within the World Cup scene and the European Cup scene, ice axes are not personal protection equipment, so they don't have to be conform the EN norm, which means I can modify them. So I took off the sharp points at the bottom, which you would normally use for the hiking, but that would be very painful if I would put my hand on it on technical dry tool moves. Also, I taped all the way around it because often I take my ice axe on my shoulder and metal obviously just slips easily off. So therefore I roughened it with a bit of tape. And I take it often into my mouth, and well, metal with -20 into your mouth is not really very comfortable.
No.
So,
Okay, so yeah, that's fair enough. I've touched metal to my mouth, like, especially, you know, nuts from climbing, you put them in, not a good idea.
No.
But this is another example of an ice axe, and it's beautiful looking. This is a prototype, right?
Yeah,
it's
a test, so it's not EN rated or anything. These are made by a Korean climber who's got the possibility to actually create this all the way and test it. It looks almost like a seahorse, I think.
Yeah.
Thing is, these are really aggressive. If you would take a normal ice axe, the maximum handle you could use is this one over here. See the line over here, if you make a straight line down, if its line would be, this would be your maximum line normally. Otherwise, it would just pull outwards. This is the first thing you learn with ice climbing, right?
So that kind of helps you sort of stop getting pumped as much, because you don't put as much effort in, because the axe will help you crank upwards.
Because you can have so much pressure over here, you can actually hold on to the third angle, so the pull-up doesn't have to be as high to get actually to the next move.
Okay, so that's this kind of different one. It looks a bit lighter from the normal Extreme, and you can see just a totally different sort of angle in the whole thing. Let's move on to boots. So when I ice climb, when I alpine climb, I've got a big set of B3 boots. They're very warm, they're very, very stiff, and they look completely different from the ones that are sticking into this wood at the moment. Just talk to me about the differences with the ones you use.
Yes, those are crucial for the climbing that I do over here. They're a lot lighter, they're also a lot colder, but they're more like sports climbing shoes, so I wear them during the actual competition and then I take them off again. They're a lot lighter as well. They can be lighter because you don't have to walk in on the approach, so it doesn't have to have a thick rubber sole under it. It has some rubber over here, but on the competitions you're not allowed to have a crampon over here. So making it even lighter with just a crampon at the front.
Why can't you have one on the back?
It's kind of when you climb and when you get stuck on the rope, it often gets stuck on the rope over here, so you can actually cut through the rope with your crampons, and therefore we kind of took it off.
Not ideal. Okay. And you use mono points, not dual points. Why is that?
If you would use dual points and you would kick in both points, it would be very rigid. But you don't have the possibility to move anymore. You cannot move sideways with your crampons. So therefore we only have one point, so it doesn't push out the other point if I would be using that.
Okay, so this is lighter, presumably as well, because if you're doing like really overhanging stuff and you constantly have to move your feet up and kick it, if they're heavy, that's going to be harder work.
Yeah, you need abs.
Something I lack a little bit in. Okay, so that's gone through some kit, and then harness, presumably standard, but a bit lighter, helmet and all the rest is. So if someone wants to get started in dry tooling, because this is dry tooling, not so much ice climbing, do you need this kind of high-end kit, or where should you start?
Well, you don't necessarily need these kind of special boots. You can use your alpine mountaineering boots as well, but obviously take the lightest one possible, or modify them, take off the sole, pontoon a pair of crampons, and then you've got your own fruit boots.
You could do that if anyone's feeling adventurous. Send us some pictures of your own crafted shoes. So monopoints, better than dual points. A more technical axe, make sure it's T-rated.
Exactly.
And the lightest boots possible.
Yes.
And all the warm clothes.
Yeah, maybe a little lighter gloves than
yeah,
the
mine are
gloves
very, very heavy.
now.
It's like minus 22 or something ridiculous. Look, I know you've got to dash off and do your second run of the competition, so thank you so much for speaking to us. You guys, I'll put a link in the copy below for the stuff that we sell that's sort of technical rated but not quite this high end. Thank you so much for watching The Gear Show. Have an amazing weekend.